Hello, YouTube channel land. I just did a podcast with Greg Cobble, who's a pretty darn, as far as I'm concerned, high-end Taekwondo instructor, and he asked me if I could do some introductions to basics, as if SCA was a normal martial art, and I think that was a great idea. So, I'm going to introduce you to some basics. Let me make sure my camera is good here, and not going to fall over. So everything, I think, starts with footwork. Balance. Balance is key. So we have two legs, right? And then if you had a third leg, that's the way you're going to fall over. So most fighters, assuming you have no experience, are going to stand with one of two legs forward. Most people are right-handed. Conventional wisdom, like from boxing, is that the right-handed fighter takes his right leg back, his left hand up, his right hand forward. That way you can pivot on your right hip and generate power. Your left leg can either be planted to give you more power, right, or kind of fluid to be able to move more. Left-handed fighters tend to be inverse or southpaw if you're a right-handed fighter standing inverted, right, where your left leg is back. So some people, especially in the SCA, like to fight out of what almost looks like a shooting stance, like an isosceles, where you kind of come forward, right? Where the feet are still, one's more forward, one's more back, but they're more shallow. Your torso is closer, you can have smaller feet, smaller motion. I can't teach that style, it's not what I do. I can only teach you what I do. So I fight out of what we call in firearms, it would be called a weaver stance, so definitely very turned away. And the first thing is, how do you move? Right? So I will take my back foot, and I turn it out some, so my toes kind of facing that way a bit. Not all the way, and I really want to get a feel for the tips of my toes, right? Raise up on my tips. Because this allows you to move if you're light on your feet, on the tips of your toes, like a cat walking, right? The heels of my toes, I actually use my heels a lot to kind of ground and pivot off of. But ultimately, the tip of your toe is where you really want your feet so you can move them. So all right, I'm on the tips. My back leg is out a little more than my front leg, right? Not too much, but not totally, not at all, right? This toe is kind of pointing out. My lead toe is pointed towards my target. So I don't know if you can see, I have a target here. My lead toe is really pointed towards that. When I advance, I will actually, like a fencer, step with my heel and then bring my feet up to it. So first, I check my balance, a little more than shoulder distance apart, right? See that? I turn my toe out towards my opponent, take this foot, step out a little bit, right? And then I get up on my toes, I feel them, and then kind of getting used to picking up that back foot, turning on that back foot a little bit, picking up the toe, letting it turn over, picking up that front foot, seeing how it feels moving it. And I'm going to take a step with my heel, and I'm going to bring my back foot up to it, right? So it just looks like that. When I move backwards, I actually will push off of this toe. Again, this is just me. I push off of this toe and I step. So I kind of put my back foot as I'm pushing off. My back foot is moving out and my front foot is coming back to meet it. So I go forward and step back. Step back. So this is my front and back, right? I keep this foot sometimes heavy, so I can throw off of it. That toe comes up. That hand comes out. I keep it light, so if I need to, I can move. Speaking of moving, left and right. If I want to move left and right, I take my right foot and I step. And I bring my left foot over. If I want to move that way, I step with my lead foot and I bring it over. So basically, whichever way the leg is already facing, I move that way. All right? So if I'm going here, I'm going there, there, right? Crossing your feet, a lot of people will tell you don't do that. It actually has some interesting advantages, but that's advanced. I can step behind and then turn. But ultimately, if I can advance, move right, move left, this allows me to fight. Because I can move, and if you can't move, you can't fight. A lot of advanced stuff to this, like where to be with your opponent. Most people will kind of start facing it directly. Bang, I'm in front of it. Bang. And eventually you learn, ooh, if I step a little bit to my left and come over, now I'm on a 45-degree angle. And I like to teach this as a fundamental up front because it's so important to everything that comes next. I don't ever want to fight head on with somebody because I don't want an even fight. I want to have an advantage. So if I can step on that 45, now they have to turn to face me. Right, bang. Right. Step to the 45, bang. Step to the 45, bang. Step to the 45, bang. And I know that isn't basic, but it is so fundamental. I'm going to try to do a once over on fundamentals. So when I move, I like to not just step left and right, but I pretend there's a line, like an X, right? I can step diagonal, forward, diagonal, forward, diagonal, back, diagonal, back, and straight, back, left, back, right, back, backwards. And if I were to draw that on the ground, I could do this, right? Diagonal back, straight back. Diagonal over, diagonal forward, diagonal forward, forward. And what I do to make that technique is, remember how I talked about being light on our toes? I can circle them by being, all my weight's on this foot, I'm going to circle this toe. So it's real light, like a little, like a cat stepping. I actually will let my feet almost slide a little bit if you hear that noise, right? Circle, circle, bang. And now I can circle my foot forward. Circle, circle. You can practice it by doing this. 45, 45, 45, 45. That is the basics of my footwork. My positioning is I don't really want to be forward with somebody. I want to be off to the angle. I want to be off to the angle. When I'm stepping left, I use this foot. If I'm stepping right, I use this foot. I don't just want to go left, right, forward, back, but I'm going to start there, left, back, forward, left, right, and then I'm going to get used to 45, 45. 45, 45, and then use them together. So when I eventually fight, it's forward, forward, back, back, 45, 45, right? That's footwork. That's my class. I'm gonna do shields next.